This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts, Kevin Tucker and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic!
What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. Today is August 28th, 2025. Jonathan Osborne here, as always, joined by my co-host, Kevin Tucker. Kevin, what's going on, man? How are you?
Yo, what's up? Doing pretty good. Very excited for this episode. One of my favorite people in Magic history, David Steele. We got to talk with him and very excited to get to share that with you all. But first, Jonathan, college football officially kicks off this week. You know, we had a little bit of a teaser week 0 this past weekend, but the real games kick off this weekend. We talked with Kendra Douglas on the last episode. You know, she's a UNC alum. You're a UNC fan. Did you hear the big news out of UNC today? That's the big question.
Is this about the trademark?
It's about the trademark.
Yeah, I did see that. I'm just very confused. You know, like I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be like a Bill Belichick expert, but for a guy who was probably on, you know, national TV, whether it was Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, I don't know, 10, 12 times a year while the Patriots were good for, you know, 15 years, it felt like. It's a guy who's been in the public eye a lot. And for a guy who up to the last couple of years has seemed so reserved and like keeping things to himself, to be putting this kind of stuff out there, just it really feels weird. It's weird.
It's all so weird, and I have no idea how the season's gonna go for them. But hey, I'll give them this. They have my attention. I just hope he's
like super invested into the football. Like if this is just like a money grab, and now he's using his relationship to capitalize, you know, monetarily. I don't want to comment on that aspect of his life. If the results show on the football field, like if this is the Bill Belichick of, you know, 7-8 years ago with the Patriots, who, you know, was living, breathing, and dying for football, if he's still that guy, you know, maybe they won't be one of the best teams in the ACC, maybe they won't be in the college football playoff, but there should be like a noticeable improvement and a culture shift for that program. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Now, did you hear about the big news that came out, I think, yesterday?
I did, or I do, maybe? Is that the
who knows if they're going to say I do, but at least they said yes for now. That Travis and Taylor Swift.
Maybe just say yes.
Engaged.
Yeah. That was a pretty big deal.
Mean,
I feel like, you know, if we're on a podcast, you kind of have to mention it, even though this is an Orlando Magic podcast. It's like the biggest story in entertainment in a long time. It was a pretty big deal.
It's just, you and I have talked, you know, privately about, you know, because my wife is a very big Taylor Swift fan. She wouldn't call herself necessarily a Swiftie. You know, some people take it to pretty extreme levels.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that's just like, I don't totally understand the hype when it comes to Taylor Swift. So the fact that this was like global news to me, it's kind of like, really? Is this what we're doing? Like the fact that we're talking about it right now kind of makes me a little bit disappointed in myself.
I was about to say, you brought it up.
Here we are.
For the record, you brought it up.
I know. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And look, like if Taylor Swift was just getting engaged like an average Joe, it would be a big deal, but not this big of a deal. Like, you know, part of it is this whole relationship with one of the greatest sports athletes of all time, specifically at his position, you know, tight end. And so all that adds to it. Yeah, and he's great personality, larger than life character, famous brother. Like it's all just woven together into this very, very, very big story. And yeah, it's gonna be I don't know if you saw the again, this is probably stuff you don't do on the internet, but I don't know if you saw the breakdown of all the different stuff that she was wearing and how expensive the watch.
Absolutely freaking not.
Okay, like the $18,000 to $20,000 watch, and obviously the ring was gigantic.
Well, I mean, she's a gajillionaire. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Of course, yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if she paid for the ring.
Right? Yeah. Very similar, you know, jewelry budget to me. So it was pretty cool to see that.
Definitely.
Just kidding. Yeah, very big deal. Very big deal.
So Travis Kelce, he's in the top three, Tony Gonzalez, Gronk, Travis Kelce.
Yeah.
And I'm like honestly fine no matter what your order is with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, talent wise, I don't know. He might be one or two talent wise for me.
Yeah.
Like I think he's really, really good.
And all this stuff probably isn't as, overhyped had the Chiefs not, been in the Super Bowl, darn near every year for the past, what is it, 5 or 6 years now. But
yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, I don't even think we have mentioned the biggest part of this episode. We are going to be joined in just a few minutes here by our good friend David Steele of FanDuel Sports Florida, Orlando Magic Hall of Famer. Always great talking with David. It's such a privilege. I know you and I talk about this privately all the time, but the fact that we're allowed, to do some of the things that, we've, been able to do, whether it's being in DC last week or talking to people like Kendra and David and some of the other personalities that we have on here from time to time. Just so cool. Like David Steele, whose voice is literally part of the soundtrack of both of our lives up to this point. And to be able to get down, get on here and talk with him and pick his brain for almost a half hour about, Magic fans and the Orlando Magic. Just really great. And hope you all appreciate that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a legend. One of the, like I said earlier, one of the most influential people in Magic history to me. And so, yeah, definitely cool to get to talk with him. And I'll just spoiler alert, he's just as excited about this season and about this era as we are. And so, yeah, it was very cool to get to talk with him about that.
Well, we'll shift gears here, talk a little bit of FIBA Eurobasket, which has officially kicked off. Germany started their Eurobasket today, Wednesday, as we're recording this morning, with a 106-76 victory over Montenegro. This game, Kevin, in like the first half was a lot closer than a lot of people anticipated. I believe Germany was up 3 heading into the half before Andreas Obst just went crazy in the third quarter. He finishes with 18 points, 5 of 6 from 3, and that really broke the game open. And guys like Dennis Schroeder, Franz Wagner didn't see much, if any, playing time there in the fourth quarter. And Franz, pretty good game, 22 points, 8 of 15 from the floor. He was 0 for 2 from behind the arc and 6 of 9 at the free throw line. Had a couple of instances, in this game, missing some free throws, which you don't love to see. But literally anytime Germany gave Franz the ball, just had his way, whether it was in transition, off the dribble, off cuts. Montenegro just had no answer for him whatsoever. Not only did we get to see Franz Wagner, we got to see Tristan da Silva in this one. In 20 minutes, he had 4 points, had some pretty strong defensive series in this one. Doesn't seem totally ready for the level of physicality that Eurobasket is played in. Guys play in the NBA, but when they play in these international competitions, they always talk about how the physicality is up a level even from the NBA. And Tristan is kind of still trying to find his spots within this German team and this German offense, but definitely seems like he's taking a little bit of time, Kev, to get acclimated to the level of physicality.
Yeah, and it's a combination of that and also what we've talked about earlier this summer is, he's not been with this crew, like a lot of the guys in this roster have been playing together for years and years and years. And so there's a part of the unfamiliarity that Tristan has to deal with that. But then, yeah, I mean, it is a different level. It's a different level of intensity and physicality and all those kinds of things. And, maybe it'll take a little bit for him to get used to it, or maybe he's just not ready for it. We'll see. But yeah, all in all, I mean, obviously you end up winning by 30. It's pretty convincing. But like you said, that first half, a couple of things, that were left to be desired from Germany. But overall, like I said, 30-point win, you got to be happy with it. We also got to see Orlando Magic legend and future Orlando Magic player again, Nikola Vucevic as well. Had a couple fun exchanges with Franz, in fact, which was kind of fun. Like that one moment where Franz fouled him and they started talking and Vuce, tapped him on the chest and stuff. I think there might be a little bit of just unspoken, just kind of common bond there, just, Magic legends and stuff. So that was cool. But yeah, I mean, all in all, a win's a win. And obviously they're looking forward to their game on Friday against Sweden, which I would expect. Look, I can't tell you any Swedish NBA players off the top of my head. I have the roster right down here, but before I look at it, I can't think of any. And so you'd like to think that Germany should make pretty quick work of Sweden on Friday, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, looking at their roster, there might have been a guy who snuck into like the G League or maybe like a two-way at one point, but this should be a pretty convincing win for Germany. They should go to 2-0 in the Group B here. This part of the 5 group stage games that they're going to have. And you brought up Nikola Vucevic. I did want to touch on that just a little bit. He had 23 points. He was 10 of 13 from the floor. And what he's able to do, right, is like to a kind of a lesser extent of what Nikola Jokic is going to be able to do. And as this Germany team gets deeper into this competition, more likely than not, if they want to, come home with a medal, they're probably going to have to go through Serbia at some point. And the fact that, guys like Voigtman and like Tice really weren't able to put up any level of resistance against Vucevic, to me, I think could be a bad omen for this Germany team. Like, again, we talk about this being a 3-point game at half. And then if it wasn't for Andy Obst just going human torch, scorched earth, just crazy hot streak in that third quarter, I think Germany still wins this game pretty comfortably, but it was much closer for a lot longer than I think Germany was probably comfortable with. So I think that's something to watch as we get a little bit deeper into this, Eurobasket here, because you've got Sweden coming up on Friday, and then after that they've got Lithuania. That's going to be on Saturday. They've got it back-to-back. So Lithuania, obviously Jonas Valanciunas is going to be there. I don't know that he's going to give them quite as many problems as Nikola Vucevic did, but just something to watch out for there. We interrupt this episode for a quick word from our friends over at Jam Hot Chicken. Proudly serving the city beautiful, Jam Hot Chicken is bringing jams, culture, and hot chicken to the heart of Winter Park. Jam is a Nashville and LA-inspired hot chicken shack locally owned and operated in Winter Park, Florida. Located at 400 West New England Avenue, Suite 13 in Hannibal Square. Be sure to follow them at Jam Hot Chicken on all social media. Head over to jamhotchickenfl.com. You can find their menu, order online, find music playlists, and all things Jam Hot. You can also order on Uber Eats. So if you don't want to leave the house, but you still want jam, download Uber Eats to your phone and get jam delivered straight to your door. Not only do they make phenomenal food, but they're also huge, diehard Magic fans. Fully bought in on the mission that we are pursuing here to help grow this fan base. And in the meantime, they also make some of the best fried chicken you will ever have. So be sure to stop by and let them know that your friends over at the Six Man Show sent you.
Patreon.com/The Six Man Show. That's where you can go if you want to join in on the mission, like Jonathan just mentioned, to grow this Orlando Magic fan base. The season is right around the corner. Lots of really exciting things happening. And what better way to get involved than through our Patreon? 5 people that we get to shout out on each and every episode. Some of our Hall of Fame and Elite tier patrons. Today we get to shout out Magic Wired, AJ Burse, Mysterious Mosley, Joshua Beckett, and Luis Rosario. They went to patreon.com/The Six Man Show and picked either the Hall of Fame or Elite tier, but we have several other tiers available to choose from. So go there and find the one that's right for you. Again, lots of big things coming up this season, lots of events, lots of, hey, we got a big giveaway coming up just right around the corner. And so if you want to get, first dibs on some of those things, the best way to do that is to join our Patreon community. But also, if you just want to support what we're doing, if you're like, hey, these guys have been working all summer, bringing Orlando Magic content, want to show some love, want to show some support, that's the best way to do it. Again, it's patreon.com/The Six Man Show. Big shout out to all of our patrons. And now let's get back to the episode.
Okay, well, not much else happening in the way of the Magic. Let's go ahead and get to our conversation with our good friend David Steele. And now, Magic fans, we are joined by a very special guest, Orlando Magic Hall of Famer, and heading into year 28 as the play-by-play broadcaster on TV. You can find him on FanDuel Sports Florida. David Steele, how are you doing, sir? Thanks for taking the time.
I'm doing great, Jonathan. How are you guys tonight?
Doing great. Awesome. Yeah, very glad to have you back again. Not just year 28 on TV, year 37 with the franchise. It's always impressive to see, guys like you have had such a long career with the team that we love. And so obviously glad to have you back here on the show again with us. Want to jump right into it. A very busy summer for the Magic this year. Turned a lot of heads, not just locally, but around the league. Acquiring Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones, drafting a couple rookies. We'll talk about them in a second. But what are your thoughts about the offseason and maybe kind of how it's shifted maybe some of the expectations with bringing guys like a Desmond Bane and a Tyus Jones?
Well, it's turned everything up several notches, Kevin. And we knew that Jeff Weltman was going to get serious about making some significant moves when the season ended last year, the way it ended. I just feel like Jeff Weltman understood that it's time to ratchet this thing up, that Paolo and Franz are going to start reaching not their prime, but their pre-prime years in the NBA. They're no longer young and inexperienced NBA players. They're ready to take another step. And to add the right pieces, you can get really good really quick. And I felt like the team going 41-41 last year with all of the injuries really did a tremendous job of achieving the maximum amount of what I felt like they were capable of achieving. And I give Coach Mosley a lot of credit, keeping the guys above their heads above water and keeping them encouraged and upbeat. And so it was a good year. I mean, the 500 season with the injuries that slammed that team really set the stage, I think, for Jeff Weltman to go out, make a few changes, make some significant trades, big free agent signing in Tyus Jones. And I do think the team is ready to take another step, a big step this year.
David, I don't know if you had any heads up or you got the news like we all did on Father's Day of the Desmond Bane trade, but knowing that Jeff was going to make a big splash, we didn't know that it was going to be necessarily the tidal wave that was the Desmond Bane trade. But what was your initial reaction to that and reaction to like the details around the trade, KCP, Cole, and the first round picks?
Well, first of all, you hate to see good guys, good players like Cole and KCP exit. Cole, especially with a 5-year history with the franchise and really such a big personality, a guy that was great in the locker room, very popular with the players and the fans. So that was tough. And KCP was nothing but a total professional last year. I mean, I know we all know that he struggled for much of the season, not really at the end. I think he finished pretty strong, but he struggled with his 3-point shot, but still great guy, great professional, always came to work, prepared, ready to go to work. So those two guys, you miss them. But I got to be honest, Jonathan, when I heard it was Desmond Bane, I was stunned. I had no idea that Jeff would be able to pull off that significant of a deal. I was thinking lesser named players at that 2 spot. I was, maybe Malik Monk or a couple of other guys, Kobe White, maybe something along those lines. But I feel like Bane is at a different level. I mean, if you know the NBA, if you watch Memphis play, you understand what he has meant to their team and what he's capable of doing. And you throw in the fact that he's just now beginning to reach his prime. So he's got 3 or 4 years on Paolo and Franz. He's a mature young man. He's a mature basketball player. He's got a family. He's got a wife and kids. I just think it's the perfect situation for him coming to Orlando with this great star power, younger than him, and he could slide in right to that 2-guard spot. So I think it's just the perfect fit. Tyus Jones, again, that's another guy that I was hoping they would be able to snag. I've been kind of hoping that for the last couple of years because I felt like he would be a guy that could, get our ball club organized, a true point guard, a distributor, solid defensively, not great, but he's good enough defensively and can really make shots. So we've added 2 shot makers. It's going to help Paolo and Franz immensely in their ability to create offense for this team and provide scoring punch as well. I just think it's going to be a totally different looking ball club with those guys on the floor.
Yeah, it feels that way, that things are trending that way. And you mentioned, Desmond Bane. The other thing that I think is kind of sliding under the radar this summer with him, obviously we talk about his offense, but as good as KCP was defensively, you don't really take that much of a hit defensively swapping out Desmond Bane for KCP. Still a very plus defender. I think that's going to be a big addition for a very defensive-minded team. Wanted to ask you, David, about a couple of the rookies, Noah Penda coming from overseas, but Jace Richardson a guy that Magic fans will be familiar with, obviously. Father, Jason Richardson, you called his games in Orlando many years ago. What'd you think about the draft pick there of Jace Richardson to the Magic?
I was hoping I was pulling for Walter Clayton Jr. or Jace. I felt like either one of those two guys would fit in really nicely with our team. Could run the one, play some two, make shots, um, professional type um, attitudes, a little more mature. Although Jace is young, he's younger than Walter, but still, I felt like his basketball playing maturity was at a high level. Based on the fact that he comes from an NBA family and he seems to understand a lot about what the game of basketball at the professional level is all about. So he's a great pro. I think it was a great get. He looked terrific in the summer league. Clearly an outstanding shooter and great competitor. He's going to be a rookie. I think he's still 19. He might be 20, but he's a young guy. And we saw Tristan da Silva come in last year, who I think has a bright future as well. And Tristan had a lot of great moments and played a lot of good basketball. But toward the end of the season, he tailed off a little bit. And I think that rookie thing, it's a real deal. It's not something to overlook. And so you can't expect too much from a rookie like that. But I do think he'll be able to help the ball club. He'll provide some depth off the bench. Now he can play. Da Silva, Richardson, they both have bright NBA futures.
David, we had you on as we do, this time each offseason a couple of years ago after Paolo's rookie year, and just talked to you about, you mentioned the term like the Magic heading into this new like golden age of Magic basketball, how there were the Shaq and Penny years and the T-Mac era, the Dwight era. And at that time, it was Paolo and it was Franz and some of the other young guys. And now with the moves this offseason, we've really put the gas, or fire on that, or gas on that fire rather. What are your thoughts about this team, like potentially becoming one of, if not the most talented team the Magic have ever had?
So I think it's going to be right there. It's going to be there with the Shaq Penny, Nick Anderson group, Dennis Scott. That group was, they were right on the cusp of an NBA championship. And if things go a little different with Shaq, and if the rules weren't what they were at the time, and we could lose him to free agency without even a chance to match or anything like that, we could have won a championship with Shaq and Penny. But then the Dwight Howard era was, it was right on par with that. I do think that Franz and Paolo are of the caliber of Shaq and Penny and Dwight Howard and Hito Turkoglu, Rashard Lewis, and that group. I think they're that good. They're just not there yet. But I do think they'll get there. And the Bain acquisition, the Tyus Jones acquisition, the other players that are surrounding Brother Mo and Big Gogo Wendell plays the five, great defensively. So I do think the pieces are there for the Magic to make a run, if not this year, then certainly in the next 2, 3, 4 years to make a run at an NBA championship.
One of the things that's I've kind of been conflicted with as a fan, as a Magic fan this summer, I feel like we've been playing with house money for so many years. The roster hasn't always been good. And then when you draft, Franz and Jalen and Paolo, then you start to be, okay, we're getting better, but we're still young. Now we enter into this new phase, like we've just been talking about, even hearing Jeff Weltman this summer say we're in win now mode, which are words we've never heard him say. Now we're entering this new phase where it's shifting from, we're just playing with house money to now there are real expectations on the line. When the team is going all in, when they're putting in, different assets to acquire guys, or when they're paying more money, luxury tax wise, the expectations change. Do you kind of sense that as well? Like, how do you feel with these expectations as they shift from we're here to develop to now we're here to win?
Yeah, I think expectations are definitely ratcheting up, just as is the talent on the basketball team. So you would expect that. And I mean, I know you guys read all of the information that's out there from the NBA experts, who most of whom believe that Orlando is a top 3 team, at least in the Eastern Conference. So if you're in that category, then you're going to have a lot of expectations. And so this team is going to have a lot of expectations, and I think they can handle it. I think Jamal, it's good that he's been, a head coach now. This is his 4th year. as a head coach in the NBA. I think, he's learned a lot. This team has grown up with him, and they trust him. They believe in him. I think he's the right guy right now. So, yeah, I think the expectations are going to be high, but I think this group can handle it.
David, if we go back to the beginning of the offseason, something Magic fans have been asking for years now, the official unveiling of the rebrand and the new look of the Magic. If you could share your thoughts and feelings about that and how it complements like this next chapter of Magic basketball.
Yeah, very good. Very nice. Very clean look. Yeah, to me, it brought back some of the history that I really appreciate. I know there's been some controversy about that third uniform that has the stripe and the blue stripe across it, but to me, that's a nod to those Shaq and Penny, the warm-up jerseys that those teams wore, and I thought those were just a great look back in the mid '90s. So I think what they did is really brilliant. They've blended in the history of the franchise, the look of the history with a more modern feel as well. So I think they hit the right mark on it.
Yeah, I think most Magic fans are right there with you. Very, very excited. And again, it's fitting to have this new era, be brought in with a new look as well. I think it's pretty cool. Something that the NBA just announced a few weeks ago, the Magic are taking the show on the road. They're going overseas this season in January, going to play a couple games in Europe, one in Berlin and one in London. I was wondering, are you going to make the trip over there, David Steele? Or
it doesn't look like it.
Okay.
From what I understand, it's one of the national. I think Amazon has those two games, and they've got exclusivity, is what I've been told. So I'm still hoping that something falls through there and we get a chance to do that. But, that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
I would love to be there. That's going to be something special for that. The team. Yeah, going to be something.
Yeah, I was wondering if we were going to get to share a bratwurst with you or something over there while we were in Germany. But
so you guys get to go. You go in both locations.
We're looking that way. Yeah, we're aiming for that. But speaking of traveling and all that kind of stuff, it's been a couple seasons now since you've kind of changed your travel schedule and kind of started to tone that back a little bit. I'm wondering how that's been for you. I know one of the times we had you on the show, you talked about how you were able to do a lot more things with your family and those kinds of things. Has that move kind of paid off when it comes to you and your family life and those sorts of things?
It has. It has. To be honest with you, Kevin and Jonathan, I guess it's 3 years ago now. I was pretty close to pulling the parachute, and the team offered me this opportunity to cut back and lessen the travel load. And it has worked out really nicely. I feel like it's extended my career maybe a few years than beyond what I kind of expected to do. So I'm still doing a handful of road games, and so I like that. I like to stay in touch with. You get a lot more access, a lot more togetherness with the players and the coaches when you travel. Home is you go to the arena, do the game, watch the team practice maybe, and hang out a little bit after practice. But on the road, there's just moments in the hotels and on the bus, little opportunities to chat with players and coaches, and I think it's very helpful. So I'm trying to avoid just doing all home games. But it's going to work out again this year. This will be the third year. The other nice thing about it is Dante Marchitelli has gotten some invaluable experience at play-by-play, and I really think he's grown leaps and bounds the last two seasons. So another year with Dante doing 25 or so games, I think that's great for him. I think fans love Dante, and they like to hear maybe every now and then a different voice. And Dante's a very popular guy with our fans and with the players. And so it's been good for Dante. It's been good for me. It's worked out well.
Well, we're thrilled to hear that, especially that it's working out for you and your family. Another aspect of this new chapter that the Magic have been unveiling this offseason is kind of the additional involvement of the DeVos family, like this next generation, and Ryan DeVos and Cole DeVos. Kev and I were talking before we jumped on here with you, David, that you've pretty much like seen these guys grow up for the most part.
Yes.
If you could, for Magic fans that may not be super familiar with Ryan and Cole, could you just kind of share your experience with them and What should we know about this new generation of the DeVos family?
Well, they're great people, not surprisingly, because they come from a great family. Rich DeVos, their grandfather, Rich DeVos and Pat Williams, two of the most amazing men that I've known in my life. Sort of similar. I mean, really, kindred spirits in a lot of ways. Great salesmen, big personalities, great leaders, encouragers, had a lot in common. I wasn't surprised that those two were so close, when they both were alive. So Rich and Helen set the tone for the organization, the culture. And, I do think that the people that have run the organization through the years have kept that character, that quality character type of feel around the organization. They've kept it all these years. And this third generation, they've grown up with it. Their parents were involved, and now they have a chance to get involved. And there are a couple of the grandchildren of Rich who want to be greatly involved, and they're the ones I think that have stepped forward, and they have a great chance to do some great things for the franchise. Ryan is a very bright guy. We've seen him come along and develop through the years in the organization. He's played a role in several significant areas inside the Magic organization. And Cole is a little younger. And Cole is a guy that we've spent a little time with. He's been on some road trips and have had a lot of opportunities to talk with him and get a feel for what he's all about. Another high quality young man, just a high character. And again, those guys love the team. They love professional basketball. They love Orlando. And they're going to give it their all. So I think it's good. The ownership group, to have a strong ownership group in professional sports is so important. And the DeVosses, what they do is that they give you everything you need. They give you everything you need to be successful. And it's up to you to go out and make it happen. But they're going to, obviously, look what they've done, agreeing with the salaries of Paolo and Franz and Desmond Bain and the Jalen Suggs extension. So they're willing to lay the money out there and try and put a championship team on the floor. And they want Jeff Weltman and the people that run the business side to make the right decisions and give us a chance to bring home that championship. What I like about them is they do give people a chance to do their jobs and don't manage the situation. And I think Ryan and Cole are going to be right in that vein also.
Yeah, love to hear that. As we kind of wind down the off season, there's one more thing that's kind of on our calendar before training camp and media day and all those things. It's Magic legend Dwight Howard going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame here in just a couple weeks. Obviously, a very special player for a lot of Magic fans. You got to call his entire career on TV. What are your thoughts, first off, on his induction, but also what are some of your favorite moments, your favorite Dwight memories that we can kind of reminisce on as we get to talk about him with his Hall of Fame induction?
Oh man, he was so much fun to watch. Coming in out of high school in 2004. You guys, you were very young then. I don't know how much you remember. I'm sure you've read about it, but the consensus was Emeka Okafor was the number one draft pick in the 2004 class. So Otis Smith and Dave Twardzik, they kind of shocked everybody when they went a different direction and drafted Dwight Howard. But it became pretty clear pretty soon that this guy had a chance to be great. It was just his athleticism was off the charts. He was instantly a factor on the defensive end, very raw offensively. But, after you get 3 or 4 years under your belt with that kind of athleticism, he was a monster. And, he was such a great dunker and such a dominant player on the offensive end around the basket. I think he's probably underappreciated for his defensive ability. I know he won 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards, but he could guard everything. He was all over the place. He was just an amazing defender, covering up other players' problems. The pick and roll defender out high. He was so good. He could react and respond back to the rim so quickly. And his athleticism was just such a big factor for him. So he was one of the great, five players. He was a top five player in the NBA for a number of years. I wish it had worked out differently at the end of his Magic career, and I think he probably has a few regrets in that vein as well. But not surprised at all, Kevin, that he's going into the Hall of Fame, and I'm looking forward to watching that. That's going to be great, and Shaq is going to be a part of it. So it's going to be a good day for the Orlando Magic when Dwight and Shaq are on center stage.
David, whether it's on the floor or off the floor, would you be able to share, one of your favorite Dwight memories with us?
Oh, yeah. Well, on the floor, the one play that stands out is the one that gets played every year on, I think it's February I don't know, 7th maybe. Check me, but I think it's February 7th because every year we kid our producer, Ty Eastham, you're going to bring out the Dwight Howard dunk on Tim Duncan, right? And sure enough, we got to bring that out on the anniversary every season because it was a play that I had never seen. I had never seen that before, and I don't think I've seen that in just exactly like that. I know there have been long inbound passes and players make shots, but to win a game with less than a second left, half-court pass from mid-court by Turkoglu, above the rim to Dwight Howard, over Tim Duncan, one of the great players of all time, to beat the Spurs. That's one of the great plays in my memory bank, one of the great plays I've seen. So that's an easy call for me at the top of the list of the Dwight Howard on court. But off the court, he was, it's interesting. He and Shaq were, I won't say they're similar personalities, but they were both fun-loving, carefree, jokesters, pranksters, and they had that in common. They really did. Shaq was always pulling a prank on somebody. Dwight would, on the airplane, on the team plane, he would go up to the front of the plane and grab the microphone that, the PA throughout the whole plane and do a Stan Van Gundy impersonation and ramble on for, 4 or 5 minutes doing a routine as Stan Van Gundy. And it just floored you. It was so funny. I don't know if Stan thought it was very funny, but he laughed. But Dwight was a character. He was a lot of fun to be around.
Yeah, I still remember. Maybe it's less of a memory and more of, like you said, because it gets played every year. Your call of "You gotta be kidding me! You gotta be kidding me!" Yeah, because that's what it was. It was.
That
was
an
really
honest.
Hard to believe.
That was an honest reaction. Obviously, those you don't plan those.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and that was also obviously at the height of the Spurs too. Like that was one of the best teams in basketball, and really, really, really special moment. David, before we have you go, we've touched on it a little bit, but it looks like we're entering into not just a very special season, but a special period here for the Magic. Obviously, we know this is your job, but we also know deep down in your heart, you're also a Magic fan too, and that's what we love about you. What would your message be to Magic fans as we enter into this new phase, this new era, this new win now session, for the Magic? What would kind of be your message for the team or for the fans as we go into this season?
I would say, based on having been through this a couple of times with two great NBA teams, don't take it for granted. You think it's going to go on and on and on, and enjoy the great games, the great seasons, because there are some great seasons that are coming. I don't see any way that is not going to happen. The only way it doesn't happen is if there's just a flood of injuries, I don't even want to mention, career-ending type of situation for great players. But if all things play out like it looks like they're going to, then this is going to be a great, great era in Magic basketball. It's going to match the mid 90s. It's going to match the 2007, 8, 9, 10, 11, those teams. And I think it's going to go, again, you never know. Don't expect it, but I do think it can have an even longer run. Because I feel like the organization is in a good place. So enjoy it. Don't take it for granted, and just have a ball with this team. It's a good group of guys. It's a great coach. It's a fun team. It's an easy team to pull for, and I would say just enjoy this ride. It's going to be a good one.
Well, David, we appreciate you taking the time. Whenever we have you on this time of year, it's like a sign that, like, hey, it's like
Getting
another
close.
couple of weeks, the temperature is going to drop, and Magic basketball is going to be back. And even as we sit here and talk with you, just listening to your voice, it's everything just feels right. I'm waiting to hear you and Jeff coming through the speakers of the TV. You know, it's a beautiful night in Central Florida. And just looking forward to your coverage of this team once again, and just thank you so much for taking the time as always.
Oh, you're welcome, Jonathan. Jeff and we've had a few lunches and breakfasts, and we're fired up to let this thing rip again. So it's going to be fun.
We're looking forward to it, David. Thanks so much,
Jonathan. Thank you.
David Steele, the Orlando Magic legend. Always a pleasure and such a privilege to get to talk with him. Kevin, the fact that a few years ago, David Steele was kind of staring down retirement. That was kind of jarring to hear that.
Yeah, that was big news, and I give him a lot of credit, for realizing that within himself. How many times do we, in anything in life, sometimes push it a little too hard, or do different things that maybe to the detriment of ourselves or detriment of our families or whatever. So for him to realize that is great on his part, but then also credit to the organization for being like, hold on, let's see how we can, have the best of both worlds here. And I'm really grateful they did, because we've been able to have, he said it himself, David said it himself, it's kind of extended his career in some ways. And so really cool. And obviously I'm glad that he's still around, but especially with, the new era that we just talked with him about, like the fact that he's still here to get to call, some of these really special, hopefully special moments that are around the corner, I think is really cool. And so, yeah, very, very cool story to hear that from him and from the organization, and very glad that he's still doing what we all love to see and hear him doing.
They got to get one before David decides to hang it up. Like, I wonder how much of that might still be playing into his motivation for continuing. Because a couple of years ago, when it sounded like he thought he might be done, was really just at the start of this team really turning the corner. So I wonder, seeing how good they've been able to be the last couple of years, and now adding Desmond Bane in addition to him cutting back on the travel, which we've talked about. Like, if you haven't ever been on a plane twice within the span of 24 hours to go to different cities, and especially doing the job that they do and all the work and preparation that goes into that. And, I hate to call it a performance, but it is a performance in a sense, what they're doing on the broadcast, that takes a lot out of anybody. So, for him to be doing that, at this point of his career, I just wonder, maybe we could have asked him, if the Magic having this new chapter, helped, influence that, I guess, decision or choice that he's made. But again, I hope he's around for as long as he wants to be. Selfishly, we would love David Steele to call Magic games for the rest of time here. But obviously, when he's ready, he's going to let everybody know that. And I just hope that the Magic are able to get one so that he's able to fully appreciate that and celebrate that before it's all said and done for Mr. Steele.
Yeah, absolutely. He's definitely one of those guys who's earned the right to go out on his own terms, whether it's, this year or 10 years from now, I don't care, whatever it is. And hopefully we can get a ring or 2 or 3 or 5 before that happens.
Would love that. Kev, I found myself, and I think I mentioned this towards the end of our time with him, but just hearing his voice, it triggers this part of my brain that says oh, I'm super comfortable. It's almost like it's like a comfort watch or a comfort listen, hearing David Steele and thinking about him and Jeff just having random conversations, in the middle of the third quarter when the Magic were up 50 on Detroit or something like that at some point this season. I can't, as crazy as we both know our lives are going to get in the next, 7 weeks, it's the best.
It's the best. It's what we love. It's what makes us weird, but it's also what makes all of you weird. Because if you're still listening to this show or watching this episode here all the way at the end of this in August, then you're just like us. You're Magic maniacs. You're totally weird and wacky and love this team. But that's what makes it awesome. It's guys like David. It's this fan community. It's everything in between. It's the best.
Love it. Well, once again, a big thank you to David. Appreciate you always taking the time. And that is going to do it for this one. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. For Kevin Tucker, this has been Jonathan Osborne. You all have been listening to The Sixth Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks for listening to The Sixth Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Spotify to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It helps out the show a lot. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at 6 Man Show. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic!